My name is Liz Ndoye, and I'm here to teach the next Art at Home class. Apologies right from the beginning. I have to wear my mask because my cinematographer is in quarantine, and in order to keep us both safe, we are both masked up. Welcome to the pandemic, everyone. Tonight we are going to continue our series of classes about summer vacation and things that you can do using the theme of summer vacation. After I do this short little introduction, we are going to be looking at the art of other artists for inspiration and ideas and suggestions, and then I will do a quick short demonstration for you of the project that I'm offering for you in this class. When I think of summer vacation as a mother and a primary school teacher, I think kids. What do we see more of than usual? Lots and lots of children. Children at the playground, children in our backyards, children running in the streets, on our block, children with each other. And what is their most important job? Playing. So children at play has been a favorite theme for artists through the ages, and in a moment we will be looking at paintings by various artists of children. Our project for tonight is to do a portrait of a child or children that you may know or not. This is a painting by the famous Impressionist artist Mary Cassatt. I love the composition of this piece. The figure of the woman, I'm assuming it's the mother, right in the middle of the picture. The colorful dress that she's wearing all make this just a wonderful focal point for the viewer. Then the gaze of both the young girl and the mother are looking directly at the baby in the mother's lap. And that's another device that Mary Cassatt used to create this beautiful focal point in the center. The quality of feeling in this painting is so wonderfully strong. And another interesting device that strengthens the composition is the window in the background. It's another very strong vertical. So you have the vertical of the window, the girl, the mother, and child. It leads your eye from the very back of the painting all the way down to the front of the child, the baby. Just really such a lovely painting. Also, the parallel horizontal lines of the girl's arm and the mother's arm, really, I believe that that's a very deliberate choice by the artist. Really wonderful. And you can tell it's probably in the summertime. The color of the children's clothing indicates that it's probably quite a warm day. The window is open behind them, and it feels like they're enjoying a wonderful breeze. So this is another Impressionist painting. I believe it's a Renoir, of children at the beach. Love, love, love the large size of the children in the front. Again, they are the focal point of this whole painting. Notice the way Renoir puts the tiny boats way in the background. It really gives you a sense of depth and dimension in this painting. Lots of diagonal lines working here to focus us on the central part of the picture. The way the edge of the sand also is a diagonal line is a quite clever way to guide our eye from this left side of the painting down to the children. Look at the marvelous flesh tones and rosy colored cheeks of these children. The quite wonderful position of the little one's feet. All of those kinds of details really help to capture the mood of these two children enjoying their summer's day. So this is a completely different kind of image of a child, mother and child. This painting is by Gustav Klimt, famous Austrian artist. Really wonderful juxtaposition of the vertical shape of the child and the horizontal position of the mother's head and neck. It's really a very dynamic portrait, even though the mother and child both appear to be asleep. But all of these flowers, the movement of her hair, the patterning, and then the position of the child next to the mother's head creates a really exciting image. Klimt is very famous for his detailed patterns and the tiny shapes that he repeats over and over again. I so love the delicacy of the features on the mother's face as well as the child's. The wildness of the hair on the baby is quite amazing too. So this is an adorable painting. It looks like it's been painted by Frida Kahlo, but I don't think so. I think it's a portrait of a child done in the style of Frida Kahlo, so it's kind of an amusing satirical take on Frida Kahlo's very famous self-portrait. But I've chosen this image for us to look at tonight because it really, really is a wonderful close-up of the face of a child. And as I am going to tell you now, we are going to be doing a portrait of a child. And I think I mentioned that earlier. So there's some wonderful things about children's faces. Number one, the eyes on a young child are further down than the eyes on the adult face. So that's something that I want you to notice and pay attention to when you do your own portraits. The face appears to be rounder than an adult face as well. You're not going to see a very chiseled outline to a child's face. Usually the outer edges of children's faces are softer. Some things to pay attention to in this portrait are the very bright light highlights in the middle of the child's face. And that is because the face obviously is three-dimensional, so that when the light hits the human face, the parts of the face that protrude out are always lighter and brighter than the outer sides of the face. This is important to know about and work with because it will help you create a portrait that is more realistic looking. Another thing to notice in this portrait, and I'm going to talk more about that when I start doing the demonstration, notice the relationship of the outer corners of the lips with the pupil of the eye. It's a wonderful proportion to pay attention to. Notice the width of the nose in relation to the inner corner of the eye. And notice where the tops of the ears are and the bottom of the ear. So there's kind of a facial corridor here in between the top and bottom of the ear, where the features of the face fit. It's a really magical thing about the human face. Artists like to measure the size of the human face by eye lengths. So if you were to lay the pencil like this, from the tip of the pencil to the yellow portion of the pencil is one eye length. And then you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eye lengths wide on the human face. How many eye lengths down from the hairline? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can use the eye length as a way to measure proportion. And again, notice how large the forehead is on a child, much bigger than on an adult. So just showing this piece to you because it's so very different from everything we've looked at so far. Your image of the child certainly does not have to be realistic. This is a Russian icon of the Black Virgin and Child, and you could do something this ornate and from your imagination as well. Your portrait doesn't necessarily have to be completely realistic. Loving this piece, obviously the focal points of this icon are the golden crowns that both Mary and Jesus are wearing, and they're quite beautiful. Looks to me like they were actually put on with gold leaf, and there appears to be quite a bit of gold leaf worked into the fabric and clothing that they're wearing as well. Just an amazing piece of art. The skill required to create this must have been extraordinary. I'm showing you this picture as our final picture because this is a pencil drawing. I wish I knew who the artist was because it's quite a wonderful portrait of a young child. I want you to notice, again, the use of shading and the use of light highlights, and how that creates a three-dimensional effect on the flat two-dimensional piece of paper. It's quite a marvelous, very realistic drawing. Notice the relationship between the eye and the edge of the nose. the pupil and retina of the eye in relationship to the outer corner of his mouth, where the ears are in relation to the eyes, and nose. Quite wonderful image. I love how the artist used this dark outlining and the dark shadow behind the child's head to make the face really pop out of the background of the picture. Also, the symbols over here on the left, I'm guessing this is a piece of African fabric in the background. So these look to me like they may be Adinkra symbols. And this vertical display leads us in a circle all the way back around so that we really focus more on this child's face than we do on anything else in the drawing. It's quite wonderful. Very alive, very expressive. Again, if anybody knows who the artist is, please contact me. I would love to find out. This picture you can find on the internet if you just Google proportions of the human face. And I'm showing it to you now because this is how we're going to start our own portrait. The first thing that's important to learn is that the human face is an oval. It's an egg shape. It's wider at the top, narrower at the chin at the bottom. The second important fact, the human face is symmetrical. If you were to drop a straight line down the middle of the oval, it would represent the fact that the face is the same on both sides of this line. The human face is also almost symmetrical top to bottom. And artists like to put this horizontal line to show where the eyes fall on the face. Another line indicates where the bottom of the nose would be. And a final guideline, the placement of the lips. These images here are really helpful in guiding us to see the width of the face. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eye lengths wide. This space between the eyes is 1 eye length. The distance between the eyes to the bottom of the nose is an eye length. Again, from the pupil and retina of the eye, if you drop a straight line down, you come to the outer corner of the lips. And if you drop a straight line from the inner corner of the eyes, you will hit the outer corner of the nostrils. I encourage you to look for this schema on Google or wherever you do your searches. Again, type in proportions of the face and it will come right up. So this is another picture I found on the internet, and it's one of my favorites because it's really reiterating what I said before. First of all, the human face is an oval. We have a guideline right down the middle to show that it's symmetrical, the same on both sides. A guideline for the position of the eyes on the head. A guideline for the bottom of the nose. The bottom of the lips, the position of the outer corner of the lips in relation to the pupil and retina of the eye, and the fact that the nose only extends as far as an eye length to the inner corners of the eye. It's quite incredible. The ancient Greeks actually had a mathematical formula for the proportions of the human face, and it's called the golden mean. That's something else you might want to look up if you're just beginning your work in portraiture. Again, the position of the top of the ear and the bottom of the ear also shows you where all the features of the face lie. The ears are a great device to use as a measuring guideline. Okay, we are ready to begin. I'm going to now, for you, demonstrate how to draw a child's face. Our assignment this week is to draw children. I first would like to recommend this book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. It is by a woman named Betty Edwards, and it's a wonderful book because it not only explains in text skills that you can gain through drawing, but it also has workbook pages where you can actually do your own drawing. So there will be exercises on the left-hand side of the page, and you will be doing drawing right in the workbook on the right-hand side. It's a terrific book that explains how the human mind sees things, and it really is a marvelous, marvelous tool for helping you to learn how to draw. Again, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards. Another really wonderful book is written by Nicolaides, and it's called The Natural Way to Draw. If you recall from the pictures that I showed earlier, the human face is an oval. So we will begin by drawing an oval. I recommend that you work on large paper. If you draw larger than life, you have more room for error. And I'm an experienced artist. I've been drawing since I was 7 years old. And trust me, I make a lot of mistakes and errors. It's all part of the artistic process. Now, I'm drawing lightly at first. It may be difficult for you to see, but I will go over the lines that I've made with a darker drawing tool in a moment so that you can see better. I am copying the image of my son as a baby. I love this picture. And again, a reminder that the forehead area of the baby is much larger than it is in an adult. So the guideline for the eyes is going to be lower than halfway down the face because the forehead and the crown of the head are quite large. So I did my horizontal guideline for the eyes, and here comes my vertical guideline to remind me that the face is symmetrical. The nose, an eye length from the bridge of the nose to the tip of the nose. So it's approximately here. And the mouth, it's about an eye length from the bottom of the nose to the upper lip. So, a guideline for the lips. One of my favorite things about... Before I begin work on the features of the face, I'm going to outline the pencil line so you'll be able to visualize better what I've done. I would not recommend that you draw in anything other than pencil to begin with. If you want to switch to another media after that, feel free. Particularly those of you who this may be the first time drawing a portrait, stick with the number 2 pencil. They're the best. Number 2 pencils are soft and easy to erase. Now I'm darkening my guidelines a bit just so you can see them, but when you do your actual drawing, don't make them this dark and heavy, because when you complete the drawing, you're going to want to erase them. They are only that, just guidelines. All right, so eyes. Now, this baby portrait, my son doesn't have much eyebrow, but I like to start with the person's eyebrow because that's one of the features that's unique to each individual. And it helps to make them look like who they are. The eyes are really what I consider to be a teardrop shape. On the outer corners, they come to a point. Curve inwards into a point. Now, usually in babies, if you're doing a portrait of a baby, the colored portion of the eye is huge. It almost fills up the entire eyeball. You really can't see it as a round circle because the upper and lower lids cut off the top and bottom of that portion of the eye. Remember, the face is symmetrical. It's going to be the same on both sides. Remember, the distance between the eyes is an eye length. That's helpful to know to keep your proportions correct. Again, the colored portion of the eye fills up almost the whole eyeball in this face. And I think you'll find that true with most infants. I think my son was maybe 6 to 9 months old in this picture. I love the shape of his chin. All right. Another thing to notice is you don't really see white all the way around the colored portion of the eye. And again, that's because the lids, the upper and lower eyelids, cover up that part of the eye. The eyeball is round, but the parts of the eye do not appear round. So he has a little bit of wrinkle under his eyes. And what did we say about the outer edge of the nose? If you were to drop a guideline from the inner corner of the eye straight down, that would be the width of the nose. And in fact, his nostrils come out that far. Now I'm going to switch from using lines to using shading. If you recall from the artwork we looked at, shadow is what helps to mold or shape the three-dimensional parts of the face. The nose protrudes outwards, so that means most of the nose is in bright light, but the outer edges, the sides of the nose, are in shadow. I'm using the side of my pencil to lay in the shadow. I'm trying to keep the shadow curved because the nose itself is curved. So now here on the upper part, the ball of the nose, there's a little shadow defining that. Another curved shadow. And a little bit on this side too. And it's pretty bright on the left side of his nose. So I'm not going to put too much shadow there, even though we know intellectually that part of the nose sticks out too. It's going to appear rather flat because of the way the light is hitting it. And the outer edges of the nostrils are definitely in shadow. So they're going to be a little bit darker. We see a tiny bit of the dark portion of his nostril, but not much. Just put enough darkness to indicate where the nostrils fall, where they're situated. And then under the little nose, there's shadow underneath. Because again, the nose sticks out and protrudes, and it casts a shadow on other parts of the face. And the lips, again. The lips come straight from the pupil of the eye straight down. Show the lips. On my son, they're, at this stage anyway, in his life, they have little peaks at the top. And you can barely see the lips, but you can see the dark area in between his lips. So I'm going to put that in. So the underside of the lips again protrude slightly from the face. So the underside of the lip is going to be in shadow. That's what gives it the curve that most lips have. And underneath the top lip, there's also some shadow. So I think by now you can see a face starting to emerge. Let's just color in this part of the eye. Now it's hard to see in this photograph how wide his pupils are, but this is an indoor shot, so I'm imagining the pupils are probably quite big to let in as much light as possible. And if you notice, I'm leaving a white patch here to show where light is being reflected in his eye. And same thing on this side. Now, one problem you will have with photographs is you can't really see details. Like, I can't really see any eyelashes at all in this picture. If you have a very large portrait of the child you're drawing, you're going to want to use that so that you can see details. Let's put this pudgy little chin here. And the side of his face, a little bit of hair. Notice how large the forehead is and how large the crown of the head is. You want to see that in a portrait of a child because, again, the forehead on children is much smaller than on adults. And notice how the top of the ear is at the brow line, the bottom of the ear is at the mouth. It's a great, great measuring tool for you. All right. So here's our portrait of a child. I recommend that you start just by doing the face of a child, and then if you feel confident doing that, you can graduate to doing a full figure, an action picture of a child at play to celebrate the summer months. So this media I'm using now is a graphite crayon. They're really awesome for doing the darker areas in your drawing. And I hope now that you can see the face emerged. Your turn, folks, to create your own portrait. Okay, now we just, if you can move. Again, a quick apology for being masked, but my cameraman tonight has just come back from overseas travel, so we are protecting each other by being masked up. So we have completed our intro to doing portraits of children as a celebration of our summer-themed art projects. And in closing, I want to thank the Hoboken Library for hosting these classes. And if you want to see past classes, you can find all of them at the website hobokenlibrary.org. I hope you enjoyed this evening's lesson. Art on, everyone. Keep being creative as much as you can during these really unusual times, and I will see you next week when we continue our summer-themed August Art at Home projects. Bye for now.